They weren't supposed to exist. Ancient maps showing Antarctica centuries before we discovered it? Here's the creepy part. Some of those maps are accurate, and nobody can explain how. For centuries we believed Antarctica was first discovered in 1820. A frozen wasteland, untouched, unmapped, and completely unknown. But what if I told you that ancient sailors may have known about Antarctica way earlier than that? We're talking 300, 400, even 1,000 years before the first modern explorer ever laid eyes on the icy continent. The crazy part? These maps actually exist, and they're not vague. They show coastlines, mountain ranges, and land formations that match what we know today, but were supposedly buried under miles of ice for thousands of years. How did they know? Who made these maps? And what secrets do they reveal about lost civilizations and ancient knowledge we've completely overlooked? Let's break it all down. This story gets deep. Here's the issue: history as we're taught it, especially when it comes to global exploration, has a pretty rigid timeline. We're told that until the 1800s, Antarctica was completely unknown to humanity. It's portrayed as a forgotten corner of the world, locked in ice, untouched by man, completely isolated. But there's a problem with that. Several ancient maps suggest that Antarctica wasn't just known, it was mapped in detail, and in some versions the landmass appears ice-free. That shouldn't be possible. Some of these maps date back to the 1500s, others trace even earlier, like to the ancient Greeks and maybe even the Egyptians. If Antarctica has been covered in ice for thousands of years, how could ancient civilizations map its real coastline? Was it once ice-free in recent human memory? Or did someone somehow have access to older knowledge we've lost? Either way, something doesn't add up. Chapter 1, the Piri Reis map, the smoking gun. Let's start with the most famous of these ancient anomalies, the Piri Reis map, drawn in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral and cartographer named Ahmed Muhyiddin Piri, better known as Piri Reis. What makes this map so weird? Well, first of all, it shows South America in shocking accuracy, especially for 1513. But the real kicker? At the bottom of the map, there's a section that seems to show the northern coast of Antarctica. Not only that, it appears to be drawn without its ice sheet. Scientists who've studied the real contours of Antarctica using sonar and radar beneath the ice say the match is uncanny, like eerily close. How? That's the million-dollar question. Piri Reis himself didn't claim he explored Antarctica. He said he copied the map from even older source maps, some going back to ancient times. Some were supposedly from Alexander the Great's era. So let's pause for a second. How did ancient maps show Antarctica accurately, without ice, if no one knew it was there? Chapter 2. Antarctica's ice. How long has it really been frozen? To understand how strange this is, we need to know a bit about Antarctica's ice history. Most scientists agree that Antarctica has been covered in ice for at least 6,000 years and possibly much longer. Some estimates go back 15 million years. That's way before humans started charting the globe. But there's a twist. According to some recent ice core studies and geological data, the edges of the continent, particularly West Antarctica and the Antarctic Peninsula, may have been partially ice-free around 4,000 to 6,000 years ago, especially during a warm period known as the Holocene climatic optimum. That opens the door, even if just slightly, to the possibility that some parts of Antarctica were visible to early sailors or coastal dwellers. But there's still no solid proof that humans reached that far south, or had the tech to map it. Which leads us to a much bigger mystery. Because if it wasn't ancient sailors, then who could have made these maps? And how did Piri Reis get hold of them? Chapter 3. The Lost Ancient Sea Kings Theory. Here's where things get really wild. A guy named Charles Hapgood, a professor in the 1950s, published a book called Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings. He made a bold claim that ancient civilizations had advanced geographical knowledge, possibly even aerial capabilities, and that their knowledge was passed down and eventually ended up in maps like Piri Reis's. He even got support from Albert Einstein, who wrote the foreword to Hapgood's book. Hapgood's idea was simple but radical. He said there may have been an ancient seafaring civilization, possibly pre-Ice Age, that explored the globe and mapped coastlines, including Antarctica, before it was frozen. And when their civilization collapsed, only fragments of their knowledge survived, passed down through Babylonian, Greek, and Arabic cartographers. Most mainstream historians dismissed him, but they never quite explained how the maps existed in the first place. So what if Hapgood was onto something? Chapter 4. Other maps that show Antarctica. Piri Reis's map isn't the only strange one. Orontius Phineus' map from 1531 clearly shows a large landmass at the bottom of the world, labeled as Terra Australis. It has mountain ranges, rivers, and what looks like a fairly detailed interior. Again, parts of it align suspiciously well with radar images of the real Antarctica. Mercator's maps. Yes, the same guy who gave us the Mercator projection. Some of his world maps also hint at southern landmasses that look a lot like Antarctica. But again, drawn before the continent was discovered. Buach map from 1737. This one is straight up bizarre. It not only shows Antarctica, but it shows it as two separate landmasses divided by a water channel. Modern sonar scans under the ice show that Antarctica is actually split into east and west sections by an enormous mountain range and basins, just like the Buach map shows. So unless these guys had X-ray vision through ice, something's off. The turning point comes when you realize this isn't just one map or one coincidence. It's dozens of maps created across centuries in different parts of the world that all seem to have gotten the same thing right. Something modern science didn't confirm until the 20th century. So either this is the biggest shared fluke in cartography history, or we're missing an entire chapter of human civilization. One where ancient humans, or someone, mapped the Earth in ways we didn't think possible, and somehow, that knowledge slipped through the cracks and resurfaced, piece by piece, in the hands of explorers like Piri Reis. We like to think we've got the past all figured out, that we know who discovered what, when, that we understand the flow of history in a straight, neat line. But then, a map shows up that shouldn't exist, and we're forced to ask uncomfortable questions. What if there was a forgotten civilization with advanced knowledge? What if they mapped the Earth, all of it, before the ice took hold? And what if those maps are just the last whispers of something much, much bigger? We may never know the full truth, but one thing's clear, history doesn't always tell us the whole story. If you enjoy our journey, please like and subscribe to our channel. And if you like our content and want to support me, you are welcome to buy me a coffee. The link is in the description box.